Alright, and once you loosen your slack adjuster, it goes down your brakes. Now you gotta get the drum off. But the drum's usually stuck on there with these little, I don't know what to call it, where it rests on. It gets a little stuck on there. So the way I like to get it off is with the tire hammer like this. Just give it a couple little bangs around here. It'll come loose just like that. And you just get that off. Alright guys, this is the wheel seal that I'll be changing out. I already got the drum off. And it's still not bad. You can still keep going like that for quite a while maybe. Or maybe not, it could start leaking tomorrow. That's why I like to change them when they start looking like that. When you look in through here, when you're doing your pre-trip and you start seeing it get a little dark like that, that's when I like to change them before they get your brakes all wet and just like that. All right, then after you get your hubcap off, you gotta take off this little screw from one of these little holes where it goes, prevents this first nut from unspinning. In case we get the first nut off, what I like to do is I like to put everything back. Even these nuts, they're the same on both sides, but I like to put them back the same way I took them off. So we get this one first off, and there's this one. This one has this little groove in here that goes with the groove here on your spindle. And just the way I take it off is the way that I like to put everything back. And you got this big nut. And then after that, it's just gonna be the bearing back there. And to get this first bearing out, I'll just wiggle it a little bit. It'll come out like that. Just grab it like that. Give it a little visual inspection. Alright, so I already got it off there. The seal sits. Just grabbed it like this, gave it some tugs, some little wiggle. What I like to do is I like to put it on a bucket like this. Just let it drain out for a while like that. Alright guys, and then what I like to do after that, I'll place the hub on the drum like this, on top of a soft spot, because the bearing and the seal, I'm about to make them drop out that way. That's how I get the seals out. And I'll hit it with a tire iron like this and a hammer. But where you hit is you hit the inside race of the bearing. Don't hit the, well, I'm not sure what it's called, the cage of the bearings, I guess, the softer one. You want to hit it on the race, on the inside race, all around till it drops down. This is the way we've always done it. Traditional shop, probably press it out with a press or some sort of wheel seal extractor. It's worked for us for many years. We've never had any tires go loose running on the road. It'll drop down just like that. Alright guys, well this is that inner bearing, and where I was hitting it with that tire iron is right here on this race. You don't want to hit it here, you'll bend this. You want to hit it here in this inside race. It's It's real solid. You won't damage anything. You'll be pushing that wheel seal out. And from the looks of it, it looks like this bearing is good too. And both of the races look good too. You want to check the races on the hub. If they even look a little bit pitted, bearing or race, either one, if it's the outside one or just the inside one, I'll usually change both with the whole race and everything on the whole hub. Alright guys, and after you got the hub, the race nice and clean, lube up the inner bearing on the hub, lube it up a little bit before you put that wheel seal in there. Just like that. The way we do it here, well, we now have a special tool, right, that sits in here and you can press it in there with the hammer, but I'll do it the old school way, the way we would do it before we had that. We would just put it like that, put the wheel seal in there like that, and then with this little homemade tool, just hit it with the hammer here, make sure it goes in even. And that's how we've always gotten them in there. Make sure it's going in even. Sits flush like that with the hub. Alright guys, then once you do that, you make sure where the seal seat goes, where the seal is going to sit on, make sure it's clean there. And I just lifted it, put it on there, press it in while wiggling it a little bit, and you get to this point where it sits like that. And after that, you put your bearing in, and you put this first nut that goes on there with the nipple sticking out. This little nipple sticking out there. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna torque this down to 200 foot-pounds while I'm spinning the hub. And those first 200 foot-pounds are to seat everything down in there. But remember to do it while you're torquing it. You torque it a little bit more, and then you spin it. You torque it a little bit more, and you spin it up until you get those 200 foot-pounds. So now I'm gonna do that next. All right, so got the torque wrench set to 200 foot-pounds. You spin it a little bit, and you tighten a little bit more. You spin it a little bit. Make sure everything's seating properly. Just like that. 200 foot-pounds. All right, then when you get it to 200 foot-pounds, you're gonna go back. You're gonna loosen it. Some people will go a full turn. Doesn't really matter, you can go a full turn like that. About a full turn until it's loose. And you just leave it like that. Now you're gonna set your torque wrench to 50 foot-pounds. All right. And you're gonna tighten it to 50 foot-pounds. Right there, 50. Now after those 50, it's up to preference. A lot of people will go back a quarter of a turn. One of my brothers likes to go an eighth of a turn back, but I like to be right in the middle. So get you a point of reference to where you're gonna go back quarter or an eighth of a turn, and you end up there. All right, then after that, you're gonna put this one in here. This one goes in this groove on your spindle, and it lines up with one of the little holes with the nipple on that first nut, just like that. I actually had to move the nut a little bit, just a little bit tighter to fit in this one. All right, then after you do that, you put this second nut, the outer nut, the smaller one. And what I'm gonna do now is torque this one to 300 foot-pounds. All right, so this first nut doesn't squeeze anything that way. Really, in reality, what you're doing, you're jamming the nuts together. You're jamming this nut against this nut. This one's the one that's got the 300 foot-pounds on it, so that bearing can just glide in there when you're spinning. Okay, then once you torque this outer nut to 300 foot-pounds, make sure your hub still spins, obviously, right? You want to end up like this, so you might have to torque it a little more. They give you wiggle room between 300 to 400 foot-pounds, but you want one of these little holes to end up just like that right there, so you can put a screw like this. It doesn't have to be this big, but this is the one I got. It works. You want it to end up in one of the corners of the nut like that, so that this nut cannot go back because it jams up against that screw right there. Alright guys, then after that, you just put your little gasket back on. This one's still good, so I'm gonna reuse it. And you just put your hub cap on. Put these 6 screws, tighten them up. Alright guys, then after you put the cap on, with those 6 screws, and you just top it off with, well, I like to put hub oil by Lucas. Then after that, I'm gonna put the drum on, and the tires, the wheels, then adjust your brakes, and that's it.